Hi, I'm Cheryl Chapman and this is the Live, Love, Laugh Lives, where I'm interviewing and speaking with amazing entrepreneurs, employers and enlightened souls. And today, wow, we're going to chill. We're going to be calm because the lovely person that I'm speaking with today is so super chill, sometimes may appear even horizontal, but it wasn't always that case. So let's find out more. Please introduce yourself and give yourself a label.
Good day, Cheryl. Yeah, you and labels, I knew you'd get that in there. Yeah, I'm Alison. I am an international life coach and my job involves emotional magic. I help people live the life that they want to lead.
Fabulous. So I feel like there's some rabbits coming out of hats here now, or some like magic wand and magic powder going on. So obviously I'm joking with you because I know you don't like the labels. So even putting like the label life coach on yourself feels really weird, doesn't it? Tell me why that's such a sort of a little itchy scratchy thing with you.
It is, it always has been, and I think it's about society tries to compartmentalise us, and I don't like conformity. At school, I didn't like it. I spent a lot of my time outside in a corridor because I was always questioning, and I think that's where it's always stemmed from. And I've always been curious, and sometimes that isn't encouraged, that independent thought, especially at school. So I think that's possibly where it started from. And quite frankly, I've just probably been a pain in the bum most of my life. Now, thanks to my genetic blueprint, I've got more reasons for that and I'm more confident in myself. But I think that's where it stemmed from. I've always felt like a square peg in a round hole. And it doesn't define us, a label. What does it say? It doesn't give me the qualities, it doesn't show the values that I have. I understand that people need them to navigate. You know, if you need a gardener, you need a gardener, that's great, that's fine. But other things, it just doesn't sit comfortably for me, and it might be some further work I need to do, but that's where it is. It doesn't matter for me if a person is a cleaner or a consultant. They are just the same to me. They're a beautiful soul and everybody's just got something to give.
Yeah, and I know when we first met and you mentioned about genetic blueprint. So genetic blueprint is it's kind of like a process that myself and Marion Bevington use in the Find Your Why Foundation. There are 5 different types of people in the world, so we can always talk about that at another time. But I remember, Alison, you were like a lawyer. You were in some legal trade, weren't you, before?
Yeah.
Putting another label on you there, sorry. And I said to Alison, yeah, I think it's something to do with like healing and helping people, you know, like on a completely different level. And you were just like, I think I just need to process that. And I love the fact that like you're really like just, okay, I'm just going to take that in for now, right now, which was probably the first time anyone had ever said anything like that. And you were like, okay, maybe that's why I've left where I am. I could see the cogs going round in your head.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So in terms of, I heard you talk recently about the labels and how I think if I remember rightly, you said, it's not what I do, it's who I am. And that's really what you work with your clients with, isn't it? Tell us more about what you do there, please.
Everybody is a unique person, and I'm not in terms of religion, but I think I'm probably more spiritual than I ever have. And it's not just about finding your purpose. I believe that people do have a certain destiny and there's something that they're here to fulfill. And that's when you say, well, who are you and what do I do? It's really restrictive if you put those into those little confinements because people might not know. I mean, it's so precious for me if people get to, and I see that with my clients, if they get to a point where they're actually authentically just fully themselves. Society, as I've said, we get told what to do. You need to be X, Y, and Z for these reasons. But are those your reasons? When you sit with your own emotions and viscerally inside and something's jarring, that's because you are not doing what you were meant to be doing. That I absolutely love my life now. Every day I get to turn up as me. You've mentioned my corporate roles. That was all lovely. For the record, I was only ever 2/3 of a lawyer.
Oh, right, okay.
I didn't quite go to hell in a handcart. But no, I love the legal profession. But again, those things, it wasn't me. I knew there was always something underneath. But now I don't have to conform to a culture. I don't have to fit into somebody else's box. I don't have to do that. I've got my own business now, and every day I can turn up and be me. And I just absolutely love it. And it's like playing out. There is a serious side to it. Being a new business owner has its challenges, but being a coach, I've probably always been a coach. 25, 30 years I've had of helping and supporting people, but now what's important, I can do it in my way. I've got the autonomy and freedom to do that, and by that I've walked that path, I've walked those pain points, and I can say to my clients, yeah, there will be points when it is uncomfortable, but the joy that you get on the other side of that is just exponential when you actually can turn up and you know that you're comfortable in your own skin and you're living life as you were meant to. It's just incredible, and it's such a gift that I get to help and support people to do that.
Yeah, brilliant. And I know a lot of people will say, so okay, this is what you're doing, but how do you know? Because like you're so happy, you've just said you love what you do, but there have been some dark times, haven't there, in the past? And I remember you telling me about when you thought you were having a heart attack at one stage, and that was something completely different. You want to share what that was about?
Yeah, it's not all been sunshine and rainbows, and I think that's what formulates us as that helps us form our character and our spirit. Because in those dark times, if we had a linear path, we went from one place to another, where would we learn? Where is the growth? And where is the development? And I've had really dark times in my life, times when I've made difficult choices. And yes, I think that for me, that was the turning point when I was taken to hospital, thinking I was having a cardiac arrest. But what had actually happened, it was for years, I'd suppressed feelings and emotions, and I didn't deal with them. I didn't seek help. It takes courage. What I always say to my clients is I never underestimate the courage it takes to reach out and speak to somebody and ask for something. And I didn't do that. But now, authentically, I encourage my clients to do that. I should have probably done it a lot earlier, but I think I'm at the right time and the right place that I need to be, because I've learned so much from those times. So yes, in 2018, in March, on the 24th of March, when I was taken to hospital, that was a defining moment in my life, and things had to change. And at that point, it wasn't a heart attack. I was absolutely drowning in cortisol, the stress hormone. And that was just years and years of me suppressing and keeping everything in. And then everything changed from that point. And there was a rebirth and a renaissance after that time. Yeah. And I'm so grateful. People, because gratitude is part of my daily practice. And people say, well, how come you're grateful for that difficulty? But that's brought me to where I am today. And I am so grateful, and everything is so precious now. And that's what I encourage in my clients, not to have heart attacks, but to get to hopefully a point. I want them not to get to burnout. I want to help and support my clients before they get to that point, because I can recognize it. I can pick up on it. I'm very intuitive because I've been there, and I want to help and support people to have that additional time and be present in all of their relationships, because I felt I was there providing for my family, but I wasn't truly present, and I know that now. But I am now, and that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, cool. So if you were to share, some of the early warning signs, if you like, what would you say to the viewers? If they've got a couple of things that are happening to them and they're thinking, these have happened a bit more regularly. What would you say are the warning signs before they get to that, that stage where they think they're having a heart attack or they're drowning in cortisol, like you were?
Yeah, for years I hadn't slept. It took about 6 months after I came out of hospital of a hypnotherapy to help me sleep. For years, I thought it was just a natural pattern. I would rarely sleep more than 3 or 4 hours. I was constantly doing something. I was constantly, now in my life, I'm banning busy. We should all ban busy. I want to be ban busy. I want to be productive. But I know now the reasons and what was behind that. I'm not quite at the point in terms of Maslow, in terms of self-actualization. But where I am now, you can recognize those things. So sleep for me, being busy, not really being present. I felt that I was being present, but I wasn't really experiencing any joy. The joy that I have now, I just want to be outside and playing, you know. At that time, my family and friends, again, a label, would have said, you're a workaholic. And I rejected that and said no. But again, I was just doing the things because I was doing the avoidance and those things. So I would say to people, you know, and self-care is something I'd never actually, it's just something I didn't do. And that was part of that destructive behavior. I didn't look after myself, my nutrition, etc. All of those things were just all over the place. So all of that together, it makes quite a toxic combination. And I just pushed my body to the point, even when I was in my corporate roles, I'd find another job. I worked in hospitality management when I was a debt specialist. Again, I would do lots of different things. And that was because I was constantly trying to push things away. And then I realised what I needed to do after I came out of hospital was sit with those things and really work through them. And that was tough, and it takes some time. But people should be aware of those signs of burnout. I think especially in the global context at the moment, people are having more time to sit and things are starting to percolate. And I would encourage people, to look at those things instead of suppressing. Just take some time, because once they're percolating there for a reason. And it's not a physical uncomfortableness, it becomes like an emotional, a visceral uncomfortableness as well. And yet you get to the point, and if I can help and support and stop people getting to that point and live a life of eudaimonia, that's what I'd want to do.
I love Alison, like she has these words and I'm just like, what are sayings? We'll discover some of these in a minute. But I think the main thing here is that if anybody's got this kind of like, if you're not sleeping a lot, and actually I'm listening to you, Alison, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that was me. I used to say, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Or I'm like Margaret Thatcher, I only need 3 hours sleep, and you know, and stuff like this. And if you hear yourself talking like that, then, you know, contact Alison, because you can have a conversation. It might not be anything. It might just be that for some reason you haven't got enough, is it melatonin or serotonin? I don't know what it is. That puts you to sleep, yeah. But it could be something that you could explore. Yeah. But Alison's words, so eudaimonia. What the heck is eudaimonia?
I know, I think I'm a bit of, there's another word. I think it's a logophile, or I could have just made that up. It might just be a collective noun for lumberjacks. I don't know. I've always had this thing about words. Because I want to be very specific. That could be part of my legal background, but there's always been something there. And I didn't want, and again, trying to define my coaching, and I thought, well, happy, it's an anodyne, bland, vanilla word. And see, then, so we get those things. So it was quite a neutral word, but eudaimonia, which is a Greek term, and if you look at the origins of that word, it looks at human welfare, but it goes a lot deeper. And what it actually means is to flourish on all levels. So you flourish, you know, physically and mentally, emotionally and spiritually, because we have to have that balance. I knew I was out of balance before, but the balance that you have when you're in a position of eudaimonia, that's when you are self-actualized, you are living the best version that you are, because everything else you're doing, you're authentically you. So that's where eudaimonia comes from.
Brilliant. Let's talk about tits.
Yes. Well, why not?
To, wouldn't it? So particularly blue tits.
Yes.
So when we were talking previously, we were doing some work together, and Alison sent me this text message. I'm going to let you share it. And I was just like, what? But like, you know, when something just really makes you laugh. So tell me about this blue tits bit.
Again, I think it's just I've got an eclectic thing in my brain that I collect words and phrases. I probably have no idea sort of where they come from. But yeah, I think we need to get to the point, and especially, you know, we need like a different term of measurement. So if something is very finite and very narrow, some people might have said a cigarette paper or something like that. I used to smoke, I don't smoke any longer. I might have the sneaky one every now and then, but not often.
Oh, confessions there.
There we go, we'll deal with that as well, in terms of honesty. But yeah, a blue tits eyelash, it's just a term that I use. And people look at me, but when they think about it, and then they go, do blue tits have eyelashes? I'm not David Attenborough. I don't know these things. I just made it up. But yeah, I will have certain phrases, and I'm not even aware that I'm using them. But they just come out. But it's because I love words. I love language. And like I said, in terms of other things, it's about getting specific. But there's this other part of me that's like the 4-year-old as well. And I still, so we might as well talk about tits. We might as well deal with that.
Yeah, I love that. And what I really like about when we're just chatting and everything is that sometimes, I've seen you talk and you can be like quite intense, and you've always got this kind of like calmness, around you, but there's almost like this kind of like intense, serious side. So it's really lovely, the fact that there's almost like a complete extreme when you're mentioning blue tits eyelashes. You're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that from you. What do you do? Obviously, we talked about what you do, you love what you do now. Obviously, this is how you're living your life. But what do you do, Alison, in that downtime that you've got now? What makes Alison smile or laugh, if you like?
Well, basically, ever since before, I was just confined into an office, and that was like my safe space. So after hospital, walking became my salvation. So now, if I can do anything, I just love to be outdoors. So in terms of activating my vagus nerve and all of the things, because neuroplasticity, it's just like a whole different thing. I absolutely love it. So all the reasons for being outdoors and being connected with nature, I absolutely love. I've regressed to like being a 4-year-old. So if I'm on the beach, I love those type of things. Basically, my time will be spent either connecting with people I love and being outdoors. And what makes me smile and laugh is, again, it's those things. Who doesn't love a whoopee cushion? I mean, I love those. I'm a bit of a practical joker, and I get what you're saying, because this is the thing. When I was in my corporate role, people might have used the term masks, but I used mine as a cloak. And I'm aware I'm slowly shedding that cloak. Put my teeth in, nearly had a shush moment. I'm shedding that cloak but for me, when I was in court or doing something else, it was that putting on that cloak. So I'm slowly releasing that. But when you said those two halves, I am authentic and I am honest. But I think it's that transition and that growth that I'm on at the moment. But what makes me laugh, it's like jokes and boobies. So if you want a joke, so what bees make milk?
Oh, well, I think I know this one.
Go then.
Boobies.
See?
That's my 4-year-old coming out now, yeah.
So yeah, it's because I tell jokes, my son will just like roll his eyes, but my 8 and 10-year-old nephew, we've got Auntie Al, it's just like, and then it's just like, my son's there, just like, don't encourage her. But it's like really bad dad jokes and things like that. But I just love being with people, and I see the humour, because sometimes in dealing what we've dealt with, and some of the things I've dealt with in my past with, I've worked in the fields of homelessness, mental health, debt and things like that. It wasn't necessarily a gallows humour, but I've always found it's finding a way. Humour has been a way to deflect that. And that is never ever disparaging or disingenuous to my clients, but it's for me to sort of dissolve that, because again, it's about that hormonal balance. So if you just let the cortisol build up, but if you deflect it and you use your other hormones, then you're putting your system back in balance again.
And your son, how old is your son?
My son is 33.
Oh, wow. How old are you?
I have just gone
36,
to...
of course, clearly,
yeah, I was 52 in January.
Oh, wow, you don't look it. So you had him quite young then?
I had my son at 19, yes.
Wow. And are you still, were you in a relationship? I'm getting into the nitty-gritty now. We might as well, just a minute.
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, I was in a relationship. I had Adam at 19. Yeah, the whole relationship thing just happened. I'm a person of extremes. If I do something, I'm all in. So when I met my ex-husband, we got engaged within like 4 weeks. Yeah, that just happened, and that's what happened. And we had we had a beautiful time together. But you get to a point where things are different, and we wanted different things. But the relationship I have with my son is the most precious relationship I have. He is the person that knows me best, and yeah, and we've got a very unique relationship, and I was so blessed the other week when he actually said, look, Mum, you're an inspiration. We were talking about mental health, emotional health and stuff, and I was explaining the things that I'm doing. And he said, I have no idea what you're doing half the time, Mum. You're doing this, you're doing that. And he said, I'm the person closest to you. And he was a little bit concerned because he said, are you going back to where you were? Because in the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of things going on. And we had a walk, and we have a level of honesty in our relationship. And I am so blessed to have that. And my son and Adam was just, he said, look, Mum, I just want to have a chat with you. And I said, I'm doing this now because I'm in my zone of genius. I was doing things before, again, genetic blueprint. I have so much energy. I'm like a Tasmanian devil a lot of the time. But
as long as you love what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm doing it to take my business forward now. You know, I could generate millions of pounds for other companies when I worked for them in the past, but this is about me now. So yeah, the relationship I have with my son it's one I'm so grateful for, and I've got an amazing, beautiful family as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And I usually sometimes I'll ask people to bring in something that's precious to them, that's sentimental. Do you have anything with you that you've got today?
Yeah, it is. It's what I wear all of the time. This is, my dad worked in Saudi. My dad died when I was 19, but my dad worked abroad, so when I was about 13, 14, my dad brought that necklace back. And then my mum at the time had given me, again, I'm agnostic, but my mum had given me a crucifix. So I'd always just worn that on my dad's necklace, and that's my son for my 40th birthday. Again, because when I took my mum to Italy and took her to the Vatican for one of her Christmas presents, and when I went in, I thought I might be struck by lightning. I just thought, well, is this going to be okay? Yeah. But to me, that I've always worn that for so long, and it's about love, because that's, if you try and boil it down, that's why we're here, because we are love, we want to be loved, we want to give love. So to me, that grounds me, and I've got that there, and it reminds me why I do what I do.
Yeah, cool. And so if anybody wants to get in contact with you, obviously we'll put the details below. What have you got, like a saying or something that keeps you, I know you've got a lovely Rumi quote, but I'm sure you've got an eclectic mix of quotes. I just know that without even asking you. But have you got a quote that you could share with the viewers that would help them potentially? Putting you on the spot here, right?
Yeah, I think the quote when I was driving over today, and I can't remember it verbatim, but I love Maya Angelou, and I want to do it justice. But Maya Angelou, I think she said, people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And I think that's, for me, that's the most important thing, because time is really precious and it's quite finite. But in terms of what we do, we can make it infinite, because if we help and support people and they go on to do something else, that's a legacy, that's a reason why we're here. So yeah, I think, if anything, that would be the quote, that it's how you make people feel.
Yeah, good. And I know that you make your clients feel, so much better. I know a lot of your business is done by word of mouth, and so obviously I wanted to invite you to be interviewed just so we can get your amazingness and your genius out there so people can benefit from you, because I know that, like you said, you could have stayed in the corporate world, made a lot of people a lot of money, but now you're about, helping others to help them to do whatever they want to do with their lives, because of course everyone's unique. Yes. So I just want to say thank you so much, Alison.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody here.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been absolutely amazing, and I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Cheryl.
You're very welcome. So of course, remember to live, love and laugh every day, and we'll see you next time on the Live, Love, Laugh Lives.